My cousin had always been the family's golden child, while I was treated like the punchline. At the latest reunion, my aunt couldn't stop raving about his new position. I simply mentioned, in passing, that I'd been the one who approved his salary. Have you ever walked into a family gathering and felt the trap closing before you even took off your coat? You weren't invited out of affection or nostalgia. You were summoned to play your assigned role, the quiet audience member whose job is to clap while someone else basks in the spotlight. That's who I was to them. Ethan, 32 years old. It all started with a single text from my mom. "Please come this year, everyone misses you." I hadn't shown up to a family function in 4 years. Not because I'm dramatic or nursing some lifelong grudge. Well, maybe a little. But mostly because those gatherings always felt like a scoreboard. Who bought property, who got married, who had kids, who landed the fancy title. And every single time, without fail, Aunt Sandra would toss out a little dig about how I was still figuring things out. As if I were a puzzle with half the pieces missing. Eventually, I just stopped going. I built my life in the shadows, far from their commentary. No social media flexing, no status updates, no noise. But this time, Mom's voice cracked just enough on the phone that curiosity, and maybe a tiny flicker of hope, won. For the past 7 years, I'd been quietly growing a company. It started as a niche job board for engineers, then pivoted into enterprise talent acquisition software. 7 months earlier, we'd been acquired in a clean, life-changing exit. My name never hit the headlines, and I liked it that way. I enjoy flying under the radar. People underestimate you when you let them. The reunion was the usual Saturday circus at Uncle Mark's oversized house. The one with the ridiculous circular driveway, 3 gleaming SUVs, and that bizarre metal hawk perched above the garage like he was guarding state secrets. I rolled up in my Tesla. Nobody batted an eye. They were all clustered around Zach. Let me paint the picture of my cousin Zach, 28, sun-kissed hair, megawatt smile, still rocking his old Letterman jacket like high school glory never ended. Straight-A student, business degree, internships at blue-chip firms since he was 20. The family's walking LinkedIn success story. Today was apparently his coronation. The moment I stepped through the door, Aunt Sandra grabbed my arm like we were old war buddies. "Ethan, you made it. Come meet Zach. He just started at Nexra." I knew the name instantly. Hot finance startup, fresh funding round, sky-high valuation. And unbeknownst to Sandra, now quietly owned by the parent company that had just bought my firm. I smiled politely. "That's awesome." She leaned in, stage whispering loud enough for half the county to hear. "He'll be a millionaire before 30. The boy is brilliant." Then, with perfect timing, she added, "Unlike certain people who shall remain nameless." I just kept smiling. Because this exact moment was why I'd come. Zach stood in the center of the backyard like a groom at his own wedding, surrounded by folding chairs, plastic cups of lemonade, and a circle of nodding relatives. He was holding court about equity packages like he'd invented the concept. "It's pre-IPO, so obviously there's risk, but the upside is insane. The CEO already knows my name." I lingered on the edge of the group, hands in pockets, watching the show. That's when Grandma broke the script and turned to me. "So, Ethan, sweetheart, what have you been up to?" Conversation dipped. A dozen pairs of eyes swiveled my way. I could have gone with the old vague answer, "Oh, keeping busy." But something shifted inside me that afternoon. I wasn't here to boast. I was here to reclaim the air I'd been breathing secondhand for decades. I took a slow sip of my drink. Not much, just signed Zach's paycheck last week. You could have heard a pin drop on the grass. Jaws didn't drop, they froze mid-motion. Even Zach blinked like his brain had blue-screened. Aunt Sandra's smile twitched like a bad Botox job. Then Grandpa, 85 half-deaf, usually dozing in his lawn chair, shot upright, adjusted his hearing aid and barked, "Hold the phone. You signed his paycheck. Come again?" But let me rewind, because that one sentence wasn't just a zinger. It was 7 years in the making. It all started when I dropped out of college at 23. My dad didn't speak to me for a month. Mom cried for a week straight. Aunt Sandra told anyone who'd listen that I'd end up slinging pizzas or playing guitar on street corners. I didn't argue. I had an idea and I was going to build it or die trying. That decision cost me more than their approval. It cost me invitations, respect, and any illusion that blood makes you family. Standing in that backyard, watching their smug expressions melt into confusion, every slight came rushing back. The birthdays I wasn't invited to, the Thanksgiving where Zach joked I was professionally unemployed, and the whole table roared, the unanswered texts, the eye rolls, The forced smiles when I tried to explain what I was working on and got blank stares in return. So no, my line wasn't about showing off. It was about taking up space again. Grandpa leaned forward on his cane. "Explain, boy." All eyes swung back to me. My pulse thumped in my ears. I hadn't planned to say more, but the words were already out, hanging in the air like smoke. Zach forced an awkward laugh. "Good one, Ethan. Classic." Nobody joined him. I shrugged lightly. "Small world, right?" I left it there. Let them marinate. Aunt Sandra recovered first, smoothing her cardigan like armor. "Very funny, Ethan. Cute joke." But something ancient and bruised inside me wanted more than a joke. Not revenge, just balance. Long overdue balance. At 23, I moved back home broke, sleeping on the basement couch, coding 16-hour days while delivering groceries at night to pay loans. I ate plain rice so many nights in a row I lost count. I still have the photos. The worst part wasn't the struggle, it was the pity. Every family dinner felt like an ambush. Mom would gently suggest something stable just for now. Dad would stare at the TV and mutter. My sister Victoria, deep in med school, would talk about her residency and how she didn't have time for hobbies. The message was always the same. Ethan is throwing his life away. The day of Victoria's graduation, I overheard my parents in the kitchen. Mom whispered, "I just hope he doesn't embarrass us." I left before the ceremony started. After that, I vanished from their radar. I built, I learned, I bled in silence. Back in the backyard, the energy had shifted. Zach kept talking, trying to recapture the crowd with some story about a secret Slack channel, but the magic was gone. For the first time in years, they were looking at me. Then Aunt Sandra went for the jugular. "You know what I think, Ethan? I think you're jealous. You disappeared for years and now you show up trying to steal Zach's moment. You always did hate when someone else shone brighter." The words stung, not because they were true, but because she believed them so completely. I kept my voice low. "I came because Mom asked me to, and because I guess part of me hoped things might be different this time." She snorted. "Different how? We're proud of Zach. He earned it. You don't get to waltz in here acting superior." "I'm not above anyone," I said. "But I'm done letting you act like I'm beneath you." That's when the masks came off. "Last I heard," she snapped, "you dropped out, mooched off your parents, and never held a real job. Zach has a future, you. What exactly have you accomplished that's worth celebrating?" Heat crawled up my neck. I looked at my mom. She was biting her lip, eyes darting. Dad just stared at his shoes. Then Victoria stepped in, voice soft but lethal. "It wouldn't kill you to be happy for someone else for once." That was the moment something inside me quietly broke. After everything I'd built, after every sleepless night and every doubter proven wrong, they still saw only the dropout. The cautionary tale. I walked to my car, drove away without a scene, and parked by the old high school football field where I used to eat lunch alone. I called my old mentor. He answered on the second ring. "Ethan, you okay?" I exhaled. "I think I want to do something petty," he laughed. "How petty?" "Invite the entire family to the most expensive restaurant in the city, foot the bill. Make them sit through a short presentation first." He didn't miss a beat. "Do it!" So I did. I waited a few days, then asked Mom to help gather everyone for a special celebration dinner. She was thrilled I was trying to reconnect. I booked the private room at the city's most exclusive spot, gold-lettered menus, valet, sommelier who treats wine like scripture. I pre-ordered the works, Wagyu, lobster, vintage bottles, desserts that cost more than most people's car payments. Everyone RSVP'd. Of course they did. Free Michelin star meal, they assumed it was about them. I wore a black suit, arrived early, greeted each relative with hugs and smiles while Aunt Sandra bragged about Zach's new project. Once appetizers were finished, I stood. "Just wanted to say a quick thank you for coming." Zach jumped up first. "Before you start, I just want to thank everyone for supporting me. This job is huge and I plan to make you all proud." Polite applause, I nodded. "Perfect segue, Zach." I passed out single sheets of paper, an org chart showing the new corporate structure post-acquisition. Nexra sat neatly beneath our parent brand. My name sat near the top. VP, Talent Infrastructure and Strategic Acquisitions. I let them read, watched eyes widen, forks freeze, color drain. Then I delivered the line I'd rehearsed in the mirror. "You're right, Zach is going places. Lucky for him, some of those places report to me." A fork clattered. Someone coughed. Grandpa stood slowly, looked at the paper, looked at Zach, then at me. A grin spread across his weathered face. "Well, I'll be damned," he said, voice gravel and pride. "You work for him now, son?" Zach swallowed hard. "Not directly. He's not in my chain or anything." The chart disagreed. 3 levels below me, 2 if you counted dotted lines. I never messaged him on Slack, never meddled, but the power was there. I could reroute his team, kill his bonus, reassign him to spreadsheet hell, and everyone in the room knew it. Grandpa chuckled, turned to Aunt Sandra. "You were so busy polishing that trophy you didn't see the guy holding the shelf." He gave me a nod I hadn't seen since I was 8, and he taught me to build model rockets. Then he sat and attacked his steak like a man half his age. The rest of the meal passed in near silence. Too proud to speak, too scared to pretend nothing had changed. I paid the 6-figure check, thanked them for coming, and left. Peace, not swagger, but peace doesn't erase history. A week later, Mom texted, "Can we talk?" We did. I told her about the laundromat apartment, the rice nights, the tears I never let her see. She listened, then cried. Some truths hurt worse than anger. Victoria sent a long email, formal, raw, apologetic. She said she admired what I'd built. I didn't reply right away. I wasn't ready to trust it yet. Zach kept his head down at work. Word travels fast when the guy everyone mocked is suddenly your boss's boss's boss. Aunt Sandra went radio silent on social media. No more humble brags about her perfect son. Just aggressive quotes about quiet success. I smiled every time I saw one. Revenge tasted incredible for about 5 minutes. Peace tasted better. But the story wasn't over. 4 weeks after the dinner, I was dragging myself through an airport when I saw a missed call from Dad. His voicemail was quiet, almost hesitant. "Hey, nothing urgent, but Grandpa's asking for you, says it's important, call me." I called the next morning. Dad answered gruffly, "You done flying around like some big shot?" "Just landed." "What's going on?" Long pause. "Come tomorrow, there's something he wants to give you." Grandpa's house looked exactly the same. Peeling blue porch, wind chimes singing in the breeze, smell of cedar and coffee baked into the walls. He was waiting in his rocking chair, suspenders and flat cap, looking like a 1950s postcard. "You're late," he said, though I was early. He led me to his study, walls of tools, maps, yellowed clippings, and unlocked an old metal cabinet I'd never seen open. He pulled out a thick manila envelope and handed it to me. Inside, deeds, titles, account statements, and a faded photo of the family lake cottage. I frowned. "I don't understand." "That," he said, tapping the envelope with his cane, "is everything the rest of them think they're getting when I'm gone." My name was on half the documents. Transfers completed months ago, finalized last week. "You gave me the lake house, and everything?" He nodded once. "Because you earned it. The rest of them think success is a birthright because they colored inside the lines. You built something with your bare hands and still showed class when you could have lorded it over everyone." I had no words. He continued, softer now. "They think I'm leaving it to your dad. Sandra's already measuring curtains for Zach. Let them think what they want. You're the executor now. When I go, you decide who gets what." He handed me the keys, literal and figurative. I left feeling like I'd been handed a live grenade with a bow on it. Over the next weeks, I lawyered up. Quietly transferred the last pieces, secured accounts, discovered an old utility company Grandpa still held 8% of, now worth low 7 figures with dividends. Suddenly, I controlled the cottage, 3 land parcels, and a trust nobody knew existed. Thanksgiving rolled around at Aunt Sandra's house. Same chaos, same passive-aggressive compliments, same turkey from the artisan farm. Zach was quieter. Victoria introduced her surgeon boyfriend 3 separate times. Sandra floated around bragging about ceramic knives and sustainable poultry. I waited until dessert. Then I stood, clinked my glass, and slid a black leather folder onto the table. "Updated deed to the lake cottage," I said calmly. "Title's in my name now. Grandpa transferred everything last month." Gasps, stammers. Victoria's boyfriend suddenly remembered another engagement. Sandra went white. "That's family property," Grandpa cleared his throat. "I am the family. And I chose," I continued. "Nothing changes immediately, but next summer, if anyone wants to use the cottage, you'll ask me." Then I placed a second envelope in front of Sandra. Her name was typed on the front. She opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a promissory note, $40,000 loan from Grandpa 25 years ago when her landscaping business crashed and burned. She'd always told everyone it was a gift. Grandpa spoke before she could. "I said don't worry about paying yet," never said I forgave it. I laid a pre-written letter beside it. "All I need is your signature acknowledging the debt, not for the money, for the truth." The room was a tomb. I looked around the table. This family spent years celebrating arrogance and punishing anyone who dared walk a different path. You labeled me a failure while I was eating rice and crying in a laundromat apartment. Now the keys are mine. Here's how it's going to work. Lake House access goes through me. I'm rewriting trust rules, contribution-based equity only. Full transparency on every shared asset from now on. Victoria, if you want to co-manage the new structure as atonement and not charity, I'd welcome it. Zach, my door's open if you want real mentorship. But you'll earn every inch, no nepotism. Sandra, you have until Sunday to sign. Or your name comes off everything. She signed Sunday night. Apologies trickled in after that. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years suddenly cared about my story. I answered politely. Some bridges stay burned. Zach started showing up early, asking smart questions, grinding. Respect. Victoria invited me to a hospital gala and introduced me as my brother who built an empire when no one believed in him. It wasn't performative. It was real. Sandra hasn't spoken to me since. I'm okay with that. I still work, still invest, still drive the same Tesla, still live simply. But on weekends, I escape to the lake house. I built a new dock, planted trees, added a fire pit. Just me, the water, and silence that finally feels like home. Because in the end, it was never about the money, the property, or even proving them wrong. It was about knowing who I am when nobody claps, and knowing who they are when the applause stops. That's the real inheritance. Thanks for reading. If these kinds of raw, real-life redemption stories move you, please subscribe and turn on notifications. More coming soon.